Youngbloods featuring J-Bo and Sean P, active since 1997. Damn, where did time fly? Back in 2003, everything was right in the world for a group I really believe had a chance to be superstars. When their hit single and music video for the song Damn dropped and had everyone in the parties A-Town stomping, you couldn't tell me whoever made a song that captured the crunk era more perfectly wouldn't become the biggest thing in rap in that generation. It was rowdy, heavy on the southern slang, had the hottest producer and game-changing artist Lil John as a feature, who was on fire to begin the decade. It even came with a cool dance anyone could do. A dance that took on its own life around that time as well. Youngbloods came in the game and made their way at the perfect time for southern rap music. It was the rise and peak of Atlanta's dominance in the rap game, the rise and peak of a time capsule known as crunk music, and a time having a dance to prop your music video played well in places like 106 & Park and MTV, cribs or jams. The thing I liked about Youngbloods is their music was hot back then, but more importantly, stood the test of time. Going back and listening to their music still feels it could be enjoyed the same if came out today. They were also very versatile. They could go from a radio and TV single like Damn or You, then smooth it out with songs like Cadillac Pimpin' and 85 featuring Jim Crow and Big Boy. Want a soundtrack hit? They had that too, Lean Low for the hit movie Torque. They even had a rookie year Lil Wayne on the 1999 remix of You before he even dropped a solo album. Yep, block is hot, lights off Lil Wayne flow. In a time new artists were blossoming left and right from Atlanta, and hip-hop as a whole was beginning to become a booming business going into the late 2000s and early 2010s, Youngbloods lined up right on target. Then that same booming business got in the way of their consistency and stability, moving from one label to another only to come back around to the same label again. This caused a badly timed separation, loss of confidence, and loss of a lot of time between them being shifted around and having to come up with new ways to prove they were assets to the company. In 6 years, they released 3 studio albums, 1 gold in 2003, and for the most part, that's where it all stopped. By the end of the decade, Youngbloods were a thing of the past in the rap game, separating from each other as well, as time passed both them by. Their music career was a roller coaster ride that ended abruptly and left open the question, what happened to the Youngbloods? Let's talk about it. It's your boy JC, StuntedGrowthMusic. Let's get it. Take a minute to like, subscribe, and comment on who I should do next. Jeffrey Grigsby, aka J-Bo, and Sean Paul Ryan Joseph, or simply Sean P, grew up in the same Decatur, Georgia neighborhood and officially met in middle school. The two became close friends and shared a bond for music and anything creative. J-Bo would often spend time at Sean P's house since his mother was cool with having all Sean's friends over rather than roam the streets. One night turned to 3 straight, and J-Bo was kicked out the house and went to stay with his future hit-making partner. They began focusing on making music together and also started a crew called Attic, consisting of artists of all kinds as well as producers, all focused on making a name for themselves in music. They started mixing in the local scene and became more and more noticed for their song Shake 'Em Off that was hot in Atlanta after Ludacris, a radio host at the time, played it first, which landed a deal with LaFace Records and their debut album Against the Grain in 1999. Stunt number 1, label issues at LaFace. When the Against the Grain album dropped, the music scene was wide open for upcoming artists. This was when Ludacris, who was still a disc jockey, and T.I. had yet to blow. Youngbloods was supposed to slide right in that position as the face of young Atlanta. They had the pedigree and the talent to make all kinds of different hit records, but just needed to be managed better by their label. Not just LaFace, Arista, Sony, BMG, or whatever name you want to throw into the mix of disaster going on at the label in the early 2000s. After their hit single You dropped along with their under-promoted debut album in 1999, LaFace, BMG, Arista, Clive Davis, and L.A. Reid began going through a musical chairs, song and dance behind the scenes that greatly affected acts like Youngbloods. Because of BMG's age restriction policy, Clive Davis was let go of his position as president/CEO of Arista Records, and L.A. Reid stepped in that position while Davis went off to start his own label, J Records. Reid came in and gave the young and upcoming artists the bag and most the budget, and to the older acts like Whitney Houston, Toni Braxton, and TLC, crumbs, even though Houston was Arista's best-selling artist of all time. Reid wanted to focus on the future, and it cost the label to lose money because most the young acts weren't pulling in enough to justify the favor. Reid was then fired in 2004, a year after Youngblood's second album came out and peaked at number 5 on Billboard and became their best-selling album, with the hit Damn nominated for a Grammy and their only top 10 Billboard hit. Still, the album only went gold and Reid paid a pretty penny for it. After Reid's firing, Clive Davis's J Records merged with Arista Records under BMG, giving Clive Davis once again control of Arista, the label that fired him, and from there he began to focus on the older acts that made millions and went platinum, not the Youngbloods with one gold album in 5 years and young groups like them, scaling back heavily on budget and promotion. Stunt number 2, going backwards. After going from LaFace to Arista, the Youngbloods returned to LaFace Records and Jive/Zamba in 2005 to release their third studio album. All the shifting around not only caused time that the Youngbloods didn't have, with the fast-paced rise but inevitable cooling of the Atlanta crunk craze, they also were missing direction. Everybody Know Me was heavily criticized for sounding like they were trying to not only recreate past hits and go back to the old energy of a song like Damn with the song Presidential, but also for riding trends hot at the time instead of creating new energy and keep moving forward. The album was a flop by industry standards, and fans thought it was a step back from the potential the group shown in the past. To the Youngbloods, they feel all those songs on their third album were forced and not exactly who they were and wanted to evolve into. It was their last album on LaFace, as new management didn't seem to get the Youngbloods and the groove they were in the first time of just being themselves and pumping out hits that just needed to be better promoted and managed. Stunt number 3, The Separation. After their third album, the Youngbloods grew discouraged in their business situation and left LaFace Records amicably. They spiraled from there with only features on songs like Sean P featured on Lil John Snap Your Fingers in 2006 that went platinum, while J-Bo went out to LA to work on music, but nothing ever came of a solo career from either. Sean P recalls their separation from one another the hardest time in his life because everything he was going through personally, having children, getting older, while he was so focused on music, he missed valuable time with them and being stuck artistically, to the point young rappers would invite him to the studio and he'd struggle writing one verse. That and not having his childhood friend to make music with, he fell back from music altogether and focused on his family once again, saying he just didn't love rap any longer. J-Bo just kinda disappeared from the game on a mainstream level since 2005, as for whatever reason, everyone wanted a Sean P feature and not J-Bo. They got back together in 2019 and promised an independent run, which still hasn't came. All in all, Youngbloods were still a cool group. They had everything it took as artists, just found themselves standing on one shaky ground after the other until their potential and buzz was squandered by labels playing who makes the most gets the chair with their career. Still, one of my favorite groups from the South. At least they got to experience the life they always wanted and found peace with each other after the separation and going forward. Salute, much respect, but for these reasons, their growth was stunted. It's your boy JC, StuntedGrowthMusic, and I'm out.